In this episode of Livewire, we dive into the trenches with our guest Curtis Bradley as we discuss his book, Selected to Lead, A Foreman's Field Guide to Success. Curtis's guide is your boots-on-the-ground manual for navigating the dynamic world of frontline leadership. Whether you're a seasoned foreman or just stepping into the role, this book equips you with the essential tools and tactics to master the art of leadership. Welcome to ECOS Livewire. All right.
Dang, Mike, your intros, man, your intros are like golden.
Well, I take the words of our guest, right? Yeah. And I just try to put together something that, we might make a run at this after all, man. We're,
I'll tell you, with that beard you sport and with your intros, I mean, I don't know how we can get any better than this.
We can't miss. We can't miss. So how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. We had Mr. Billy Martin on. We had Lito Wilkins on. And number 3, man, I am so looking forward to our brother Curtis Bradley coming on. He's such a, I met him for the first time at the San Antonio Trainers Conference face-to-face, which was one of my big goals as far as people to meet, and had 2 dinners with him. I just couldn't get enough of the Curtis.
Yeah.
And you'll see why. Everybody's going to see why.
Yeah. I had a chance to visit with him on the phone, and I'm really excited about this episode and to bring him on. I just am so excited that we've been able to bring to these episodes, some of the up and comers, man. That's what it's about, is finding these up and comers, the people that believe the same things we do and have the same goals, the same desires for our industry, and want to give back to it. And that's what this is all about, man.
That's a common denominator. And Curtis, he fits that blueprint like beyond perfect, and not that he's perfect, but his heart, his mind is in the perfect position. Definitely.
Yep. That's what we're looking for, man. That's what we're looking for. So,
all right, let's get his.
All right. Okay, so let me just read a little bio on Curtis, and then we'll bring him on. Curtis is the part owner of Premier Lineman Consulting. Curtis started his apprenticeship at Mississippi Power Company in August 2005, and eventually became a distribution lineman. He also worked as a substation electrician throughout their northern territory. Curtis designed a 16-week non-credit lineman program for East Central Community College in Decatur, Mississippi. Since then, he built other pre-apprentice lineman programs throughout Central Mississippi, including one in his hometown of Meridian, Mississippi. Curtis has a BS in Occupational Safety and Health. He's also earned his CUS, his Certified Safety Specialist, CUSP is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. Currently, Curtis is the Vice President of Safety, Quality, and Training for a company within the utility industry. So welcome to Livewire, Curtis.
Hey, thanks everyone. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good to see you, brother.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure to be here. Super excited to be here, share my story, and hopefully help others. Get the training and insight and the motivation they need to get out here and be successful, man. Absolutely. So I'm stoked. I'm ready to rock and roll, man. This is pretty much like a dream come true, man. Never thought I'd be on something like this, man. So I'm super excited.
Well, go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, Curtis, you're just beginning, bro. You're just beginning. I'm telling you, man, people are going to want to listen to you and hear you, and the skills and the leadership that you're training in, the communication, the proper method of delivery. I mean, dude, you're like I'm just so excited. And breaking bread with you in San Antonio for the Leaders Conference. Two nights. I was hoping for one, and it was just such a blessing, and I appreciate it. What you do in your heart and your soul. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate y'all, man. Again, this is just something that I'm truly passionate about, and when we get more into the podcast, hopefully that can be displayed. By getting out here and trying to help as many people as possible, right? See the value of safety and training, and just serving yourself to others, right? To the community. So that's what it's all about, man.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I love today's topic. We're going to be talking about leadership. It's one of the areas, I've been doing this a long time. I'm in my 50th year.
Wow.
And so I've been at this a while.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that I'm really passionate about. One is personal protective grounding. Is been one of my passions since I basically started, So, and the other is leadership. I've just always felt that we, as an industry, could do better at not necessarily selecting our leaders, but giving them the tools that they need to really be leaders. It's more than just building power line. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the reason, I'm doing all that I do right now, and with the book that I've been blessed to create, and try to get it out to the masses here in the next month or so. But safety is always paramount for every company. Training is one of the most valuable things that an organization can do for their employees. But unfortunately, we tend to overlook the leadership aspect of it, and that's what I'm trying to put more emphasis on, not at a high level, but at that lower level where people can digest it, right? And can oh, okay, I really understand where he's coming from, or where that supervisor is coming from when they need me to do X, Y, and Z. So that's
right.
That's what it's about. It's about tying it, having those conversations with a 50-year seasoned guy like yourself with a 6-month guy, right? And being able to bridge that gap and have everybody buy into getting out here working safe and having an enjoyable time. I mean, building power lines is relatively fun and not too complicated. All right, this is just my opinion. What makes power lines somewhat complicated is personalities and opinions and just dealing with the people. And I feel like most people would agree with that. They don't really leave the job because of okay, we have to go set this pole down in this ravine. They leave it because of the leadership that's above them, or and they can't get out of eye. So
yeah, I would agree. Most people leave jobs because of people, not the job. Because they just move to another job that's the same job they had, right?
Yeah.
But they're looking for better leadership.
Yes.
I believe, in a lot of cases.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think that's everybody's goal.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, we like to say here, tell us your live wire story. How did you get from point A to point B? A little bit in between there. Who's Curtis? Who's Curtis Bradley?
All right, so to condense it as much as possible, I say, I grew up there in what we call the backwoods of Mississippi. So grew up in a small town called Pachuta, Mississippi. My mom, she brought us to Pachuta after her and my dad decided to split. So she's been one of the keystone players along with my wife to help me kind of get to the point. So like most children, didn't value school too much, so I was one telling jokes and I'm not halfway paying attention, and got ready to graduate and graduated. And the young lady that I'm currently married to now will be 19 years here in August. We had had a opportunity to go to school. We went to school, but then we found out that we was having a child at a very young age. And so I share this because I know there's other individuals out there that maybe wind up in that same circumstance, right? So it's not the end of the world, right? You get your plan in place, and you just have to try to execute it. But it got really challenging to me for when I went to school, because I went to community college. I didn't have the skills to study, to do math, and all these other things, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So, man, I got put on probation. That's what usually happens when you turn in a bunch of D's and F's, And so after about a semester of just a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration, I can remember outside of the library, sitting on a bench, and I'm not ashamed to say it, just sitting there crying because I got a mouth, to feed, with 2 mouths to feed, my wife and my little boy, and I was just striking out in life, man. And so I just asked the good Lord above, just to really come in and just show me what He wanted me to do. And so I can remember walking out, and double doors was fixing to get ready to part. And I remember a little old poster board, back then they would put it, I can say back then, they used to have, enrollments on different classes. And I saw something that said industrial maintenance. And so it caught my eye. I went and talked to the advisor, Miss Nettles. She did whatever she could do to get me in that class, and I got in that class. And that is where it really changed my thinking process in life. And I say that because that was the first time I actually had an instructor or someone saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, right? And it's always that individual. Sometimes, it's mom and dad trying to preach to the kids, but sometimes, I don't know for what reason, it's that outside person every now and then that can say, hey, it's the same message mom and dad is giving, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that outside person says it a certain way to really activates the thinking of you. And, so my instructor, Mr. Jerry Humphreys, I can remember pulling me in the class, and he got me in the class, and, I was going a couple weeks into it, and he said some things that was just really, made me wake up. And he said, Curtis, after putting me in a meeting, if you stop being so daggum scary, you could actually do the work. Right. And then he came on, and we had some more conversations, and he said, hey, you would probably make the power company a real good employee if you kept up the work ethic and, being responsible, being respectful, and all these other kind of things. And so that was the first time I really had any kind of type of guidance as a male figure. And so I just took his advice. He told me to go apply for the power company. That's what I did after about a year and a half of begging. Because it's, kind of hard to get on with the power companies. I got on with the power company, and, pretty much the rest is history. Got on as an apprentice, overhead underground distribution, stayed out there about 10 and a half years, got into substations. Then, it was a pivotal point because I was really struggling at the power company. Not because the power company was doing anything wrong. I just wanted to do more with serving myself to other people.
Right.
So I just took a leap of faith and went to the local community college and built the Lineman program, which I did not know how to do, but I figured it out pretty quickly.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's great. Obviously what we want to do is kind of dive into your book a little bit.
Yeah.
And because, the leadership, again, is one of those things that I believe that if we can get everything dialed in properly, we can improve where we're at as far, when it comes to the serious injuries and fatalities that we're having in our industry. And and so I want to get into this book a little bit. And what made you first of all, how did you pick this topic? I mean, I've thought about writing books. Everybody thinks about writing books, right?
Yeah.
How do you take that from thinking, yeah, I could write a book, and then going through, and especially this topic. This is a great, topic.
Yeah.
And how do you get there, man?
So I got there over just like years of observation, right? So one of the key things for a lineman to have in his tool chest of things to be successful, right, is to be a great observer. And so I would just sit back. I would listen at the seasoned guys talk about their transitions. When I kind of got back into the field with working with a few contractors, it was a really big gap there because everybody was talking about leadership, right? Everybody was talking about leadership, and I can say, kind of on the IOU side, those things are pretty much somewhat in place. They do a very good job in their due diligence, trying to put you through the right leadership programs to make sure that you are successful. But then on the other side, it was just a humongous gap. And so I had an opportunity for one of the companies to orchestrate a leadership program. It was a foreman program. And we got a chance to implement it, and I think it was pretty good. But the name of the book was just literally just me just kind of getting in tune with the good Lord above, man. I mean, I can't take any credit for myself, and I wanted to do more. I wanted to communicate it in a way where everybody gets it, but I did not want to just build it for a company, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want it to be siloed. I wanted it to be shared across the masses. So that way everybody can kind of, have this opportunity to take this information in. So Selected to Lead was just literally, when I thought about it, it's just, some of the horror stories that I've heard out here in the industry, and that's what it kind of talks about in the book. Hey, somebody quits. Hey, hey, who is that? Hey, yeah, you. Yeah, man, you're the next foreman. Come on.
That's what I love about that. That's what I love about that title. And that's the first thing that really caught my eye is, and you're absolutely right. You're selected.
Yep.
Some people don't even volunteer for it, right?
Yeah.
You're selected to lead. And I'm sure you'll get into this. And I'm sorry for interrupting, but sometimes.
No, come on, man. No, you're good.
But leadership is an authority, right? It's just because you have subordinates, right, doesn't mean you're doesn't mean you have followers, right? And I'm thinking that's what your book is trying to get across here, is that there's more to just telling people how to build power lines.
Yeah, so one of the things that I may mention all the time, and I listen to a lot of books, and a lot of people, some of the greats like Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Les Brown and Earl Nightingale and all of them. But one of the things that I always pick up on is true leaders do not seek followers.
Correct.
True leaders do not seek followers, and so with that, right, we're being put in a position where now, majority of the guys don't want to lead because they don't have the skills necessarily to lead. And those skills, as far as communication, or it may be some gaps there within the industry where, some processes or procedures are not in place. And so a lot of guys are just kind of turned off by it. I'm like, hey man, I just don't want to do it. I'd just rather be a lineman. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that headache because it's too much to come with it. If anything goes awry, it's all going to fall back on me. But guess what? I'm trying to scream at the top of my lungs that I need some type of guidance, and I can't get that type of guidance, So that's what the book is all about, sir. 100%. It's just to give a voice and give an echo and some reason to some folks, to help them out if they don't have that leadership in place.
Yeah. One of the hardest aspects of what I would consider being a good leader is being able to build loyalty, right? Loyalty it's a hard thing to build, and it's a very easy thing to tear down, right? You can lose your crew's loyalty. It takes a while to get there, right? But you can destroy it in an instant, I know your book probably talks about some of these issues and how do we build that loyalty? What are some of the steps that a new leader has to be able to do to make that a loyal and cohesive group?
All right. So some of the things that I've got identified here in the book is, one of the things is just identifying the two types of leaders here in the book, and it's not nothing very complicated or like really high strung. But in the book, I just identify being a servant leader and a manipulative leader. All right. And so, and depends on what type of leadership you've been exposed to. That's where that loyalty, or what we call trust, comes into place, right? So if you're a manipulative type of leader, you don't communicate with your guys, you're always telling fibs or whatever the case may be. It's always issues. That at the end of the day is going to create issues where you cannot have that loyalty and you cannot have that trust, right? But if you have a servant leader, somebody who is always putting the crew above themselves and make sure that they have everything there is possible, as far as communication, as far as safety, as far as equipment. If you see somebody doing everything that they possibly can do to help you, you cannot help but to follow them. You cannot help but to support them in their efforts of being a leader. And so, I call it trust, right? And Dr. Miles Monroe talks about it all the time. His definition of trust is test over time equals trust. And I talked about this in the presentation that I did in San Antonio, right? You have this time frame here where me and you right now, you have somewhat of trust with me because over the last couple minutes or last couple hours, right, we've created this trust, right? And so at the end of the day, it's trust. You have no reason not to trust me. Now, if I should come and steal something from you, right, or go out here and tell a fib or tell an untruth on you, well, then that takes away trust. So it takes a long time to build trust, but it takes very little time to dissolve trust. Right?
Exactly.
So we have to get in a position where, as leaders, we have to let the guys who are following us know that they can trust us, right? And that trust comes in this person as a leader. They're going to do everything possible within reason, the safest way, the best way, right, to get out here and perform at a high level, not just for the company, but for us, right? And I think we've all identified those type of guys, all right? Somebody that will call right now, no matter who it is. We all have that one guy who will call right now and he say, "Hey man, we need to bag up and we're going to China." And you're gonna say, "All right, you're gonna come," right? And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, is building that type of relationship.
Yeah, I agree. This trust or loyalty, it is it's what holds a team together, obviously. And loyalty, trust, commitment, that is the glue. And you're right, it takes a while to build it up, but it can be taken down pretty quick.
Yeah,
pretty quick.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And so some of the other things that the book talks about, of course, is just communication, accountability, being able to give feedback. It's all these things that we talk about it and know, but it's broken down in a way where the guys can digest it in the field, right? It's not overly complicated. I talk about responsibility a lot in the book, right? And I have a title of it called Responsibility Transfer. I have all these different type of titles where people have mentioned something to me, or I have heard something, but then I have it correlated to what it actually supposed to be in a leadership style type manual. And so it's just tying it all together for the working folks. And that's what this book is for. It's for the working folks. The people who's putting on the work boots and putting on the gloves, is out there sweating all day in the summertime, or got the bibs on in the wintertime. And they just need that little bit of guidance and that little bit of support.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I don't know how many people really recognize this, but a crew leader, a foreman,
Mm-hmm.
they have to deal with more than what's just, part of the workday. I mean, these guys come to work with a lot of issues, and I'm not saying that a crew leader, a foreman, has to be, a psychologist or a therapist in any stretch of the imagination, but they do have to recognize that people come to work with issues. They have lives outside of work that can affect their mind and their process and their thinking, and that's something that to me, leadership has to be able to recognize and somewhat manage, right? And
Yes, and it's so true because everyone, and it speaks about this in the book. All right, we have to be able to identify the culture that person has come from. Right, if that person comes from a culture of just, how can I put this? All right, if you come from a culture of having your mom and dad there, right, and then you have someone from a culture that has been exposed to abuse or drugs or not having a father in their life, right? Those things play a part because you get individuals out there like me where, hey man, having a male figure as a leader was just kind of unheard of. So when I went to the lineman field, I had guys that I really looked up to, that I looked to as a uncle, as a big brother. And sometimes we tend to forget that. Sometimes we tend to forget that, everybody coming in, if you had a good situation, as far as your background, didn't come from a good situation. Right.
Exactly.
And I see that, with all of the training that I still do on the weekends, right? Everybody comes from different backgrounds. So you have to be mindful of that, right? And you have to be able to listen. And some guys just want to vent, right? And some guys don't know how to vent. And the only vent they've ever seen was somebody hooping and hollering and cussing. And so when they get out there and have a situation, the only thing they're going to do is hoop and holler, and cuss out, right? And so you have that aspect of it, and then you have the aspect of you're the leader. So what your crew members see you do, right, then that's what they're going to do. So if you're the type of guy who every time you hit a roadblock, you throw your hard hat across the daggone road, you take the water and freaking throw it, and you tearing all the stuff out of the bins, and you having a cussing match every time your superintendent or somebody calls you, guess what? 9 times out of 10, that apprentice, that lineman, that A class, whoever, they're going to wind up doing the same thing, right? And so we have to take ownership of that and say that, hey man, that's not okay. Those times are gone. It's a different age. We're different with a different generation, and but it's not to dissolve, the hardships that have been come about throughout the industry. We have to value that, but then also too, now we have to start sprinkling in some of this new school technology, and then we have to start making sure that we're communicating better or more efficiently, because the generation, sir, of you 50 years ago is not the generation that we got coming on now. So the communication level is completely different, and so as an industry, are we so rigid that we're not going to change? And so that's what the book kind of talks about. Like we have to change, we have to evolve, because things or people or situations or businesses who don't evolve over time, they go obsolete or they become stale.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're dealing with a different generation that can't be managed the same way that people from my generation were managed back when I started in 1974. It's a different world. It's a different culture. People have different views when it comes to politics. There's just so many things now that can affect the way people think when they get to work. and they're so involved in social media, and they're so involved and you know, I hear people all the time say, well, you just got to shut that down. You just got to shut, you know, I don't think it's that easy, you know.
No, it's not that easy. I'm not to cut you off, but you know, so it's a couple of things I want to bring up to that point, right? And unfortunately, this is just the case, right? You have 9-month-olds and 10-month-olds with iPads in their hands now, getting put in a stroller. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's on the personal side. On the industry side, you got foremen that's only been in the industry 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we literally look at it, you look at you, sir. You know, you probably could tell stories where, you know, you was probably a groundman for, you know, or know some situations with groundmen for 10 years, or apprentice for 10 years, or they was at a company for 30 years before they made foreman.
Yep.
Right. I went through a 5-year apprenticeship. You know, I can say, "Ooh, I went through a 5 year." Now apprenticeships are 4 years. Some apprenticeships are 2 years. And so, you know, we can't really just blame it all on the culture and the generation, because the industry has changed as well.
Absolutely.
So, you know, so we have to come to a common ground where we identify, you know, what's over here and what's over here, and bring it together. So, you know, as we call it, a win-win for both parties.
Exactly.
And win-win is to serving the customer and keeping people safe and making sure that they're trained properly to keep these lights on each and every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'd like to share something real quick, Curtis. One of the things that I really wanted to enjoy, not attend. Okay. I knew what you were going to bring before you brought it, but one of the things I really wanted to enjoy is your presentation. Selected to lead, and man, the way you train, the way you teach, and the way you move and hold yourself is Renaissance, man. It's a Renaissance experience. And I think of it as a breath of fresh air. You know, I grew up in Arizona, and dust storms and the air quality and around the Phoenix area, you know, dusty and smoggy, and, you know, and I tell you, you get up in the mountains and it's just like blue skies, stars, and it's beautiful. And what you teach, what you share, that's what you get. You go in the mountains and listen to Curtis speak. And when he speaks, you see the blue skies, you see the stars, you see mountains, and it's just beautiful, man. It's like getting back to nature, getting it back where we need to go back. And that's connecting with each other. And man, it was wonderful. Every moment. I'm glad I sat in that front row, man, because that's where I needed to be.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And that comes with this, me trying to hone in on my craft. That comes from me wanting to connect, right, with the people. And it's not that I'm trying to talk at them. I'm trying to talk with them. And so as an instructor, you know, on the weekends, like what I do now, my job is to share information, but for the light bulb to click, for the light bulb to go off, right?
Yes.
And sometimes we get so rigid where we read out of a book and then we say, this is it, right? But it's no passion, it's no enthusiasm, it's no feeling behind it. So, you know, I've just been blessed with, I guess, with just a certain skills where, you know, the things that I'm passionate about it, and I try to show it, right? And it's just to get buy-in, not for me, but just to get buy-in with that person to start seeing things in a different way, right? And like I've told Brent in the conference many times, you know, everything that we do here is for a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes we tend to forget that. Like building power lines is not for us. Building power lines is to serve these communities, these states, these regions, these nations. It doesn't matter if you live in a trailer park or the finest estate ever. Our job is to serve our skills, ourselves, to these customers and to make life better. And so for me, I'm just blessed to know my assignment. You know, it took me a while to kind of to get across and stumble onto it, but the man upstairs, he kind of showed me what he wants me to do, and I'm just kind of here for the ride. Just being obedient and not looking for any pats on the back or anything like that, which I appreciate the recognition, but just to get out here and just empower and motivate as many people as possible to get out here and go to work and to change their lives and to be better and to realize literally, and I can say this, it does not matter where you come from. It only matters where you're going. And you can have anything that you want to have if you put in the work, if you get a plan. And for me, when you start building that relationship with the man above, that's what really kind of set it apart for me. Yeah. And I truly became obedient and started not worrying about other people, stopped judging other people, and just started serving myself to other people. Like things come about, that's how the book came about. That's how I have another series of books that I want to write that it's all about trying to help people. And people see it more through action than they do words. And so that's the reason I work as hard as I work and try to do as much as I do. And, just to let people know that you can, whatever rut that you're in, you can come out of it. Just get out here and get it, make it happen.
Beautiful. Yeah. You have something, Brent?
Yeah, I was, if I was to summarize everything that you shared, Curtis, from your experiences and, wrong choices, realizing the right direction, the right path, and making those changes. Yeah. If I was to summarize that, the way I felt is that, you have to go over work methods. You have to go over best practices. You have to go over that. But I like how you meld and bring in the relationship between the natural best work practices and work methods, how you bring in that natural and you bring it into relationship, the psychological relationship of the best work methods and the best work practices, and that psychological relationship between one another, that to perform those work methods and those best work practices and all that, in order to perform and be successful, that we have to be that line team, level ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, that's the mission. Is to kind of say it without saying it, right? The mission is to get people to really see that, like, being a good person, like, really goes a long way, right? And out here in this industry, you're gonna be subjected to a lot of temptation, right? And that's what I try to educate to my young brothers and young sisters that's coming into the industry. It's a lot of temptation out here, as far as alcohol, as far as drugs, as far as everything, right? And it's so easy to get off track. And so the decisions that we make each and every day, we tend to not hold them in high regards. But the decision, right, that we make each and every day is one of the most important things that you do, because that decision, right, can either take you to the mountaintop or it can take you into the valley below, right? Just on a little small 1 second decision. And so that's what I try to get people to see, hey, you got the decision. Hey, you're going to put on some extra cover up or you're not. That's a decision. All right. Hey, you're going to go out and spend the night, all night out with the guys and drink because you got to go to work, or you're going to stay home or stay in the hotel room and talk to your wife and get a good night's sleep so you can go out and be effective the next day. Yeah, right? All decisions, right? And so we're speaking with that, and then I talk a lot about as far as safety and effort, right? And people don't realize this, but it takes a tremendous amount of effort to be safe. As we used to say back, as my mama used to say, it's so easy to do what's wrong, but it's so hard to do what's right. And safety is right. All right. And it takes effort. It takes effort when you've worked all day working trouble tickets and you go to try to do a reset on a meter, right? Or plug one in and man, you 100 yards away, you left your out there by the road, you left your rubber gloves, right? So what do? Do you cut the seal and put on your leather gloves and slap it in? Or are you the type of guy that's going to put forth the effort to walk back because you got an apprentice, right, looking at you, right, driving a truck for you, right? So the objective is, yep, I know, but we're going to walk back. I'm going to get my rubber gloves, and then we're going to come back and set this meter the right way.
Exactly.
So that effort piece, the safety piece, the decision piece, that's what I try to bring to the table to get guys to see. Like, this is not just about the company. It's about you, right? It's about us. It's about our families. It's just about getting out here and being successful and just helping as many people as possible. And I just keep saying it over and over, but that's what it's really about, you know?
Yep. Good words, man. I know we're starting to get short on time here, but just one area here I want to kind of discuss for just a minute. We probably won't have the time to get as much here as we want, but to me, when we start, when we talk about leadership, obviously, and just what you just said, safety, of course, is a big part of being a good leader. And what you said, it's hard, right? It's hard. And I've always tried to teach and promote that people that are put into these positions, these supervisory positions, leading crews and leading these young men, that they've got to be fearless, man. They have to have the fortitude to carry out their assignments that's given to them, and they have to accept those risks of leadership. And part of that is safety. And we talk all the time, people, just like you say in your book, make safety a top priority, not just a slogan. And we hear that all the time. We hear companies saying, hey, safety's number one. Safety's number one. But time and time again, we see that sometimes, safety isn't number one. It appears that getting the work done seems to notch up a little bit, right? Yes. So how do you promote in your book? How do you get that crew leader, that foreman to believe in safety?
Well, so for our slogan at the company I work for, I created it. The slogan is safety starts within. Your attitude makes the difference. That's our slogan. That's the slogan that I come up with. And it starts with your attitude. Okay. I apologize. Hold on. So with that being said, the attitude of that foreman is going to be either accepted or rejected by that line crew. So if that foreman has an attitude of, hey guys, we're going to go out here and we're going to be safe. We're not going to cut any corners, right? I don't care hell or high water. If it takes us 2 days to change out this junction pole, we're going to change it out. We're going to change it out safe, all right? If that foreman has that leader, that type of attitude, the guys are going to buy into that.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if upper management comes in and say, well, hey, that sounds good, but nope, we're not going to take 2 days. We're going to give you 4 hours. And we got to get this done because we're running on units. And if we can't run, right, we can't make no money. Okay. And so that foreman is going to have to stand up within himself and be able to identify what he can or cannot do. And one of the phrases that I have in the book is the titles of it is the mouth to say anything, and which is true. A lot of people love to tell you what they can, what you want to hear, but then at the end of the day, when you show up, right, it don't add up, right, and that's very, very discouraging for a foreman. So, for us, for the book, it's just to try to Talk to the foreman and let them know, like, hey, your work processes, you need to look out for this. You need to look out for that. You need to ask this type of question. You need to, you're going to be working with all of these different type of personalities on the crew, right? It's like taking ingredients to build a gumbo, right? You got 4 or 5 different personalities. So how do you herd them, right, to get in here and be effective and to be safe? Like, that takes skill. That can't, you can't just roll into that. That takes being able to observe somebody like you, sir, that's got 50 years, to see how you get around, how you work with the group. How can you have that mentor type mentality? And that's one of the things our generation, I feel like, suffers from. And quite honestly, I'm just a little jealous, but I did have that little bit. And I think that's the reason I can do what I do, because I had somebody to actually take me up under my wing that tried to develop me to this point. I didn't appreciate it at the time because I was young, but now, right, it's so valuable, right? And so I think in my presentation, I had a picture with 2 houses, right? And I said, what's the difference between these 2 houses? So the picture was, if you can kind of paint a picture, they was just all old and decrepit, houses or whatever. And I said, what makes this house more valuable than this house? Right? And that's what's the question. What makes this house more valuable than this house? And you know what the answer is? The podium in front.
Yeah.
Because the podium tells the history of the house.
Yeah.
Right? We have all of this wisdom out here, right? But we don't have a process to be able to share it, right, with other people, right? Yeah. And so in order to be able to share it, that person has to be able to also to receive it. Yeah. And so that mentorship piece, that time development piece, that opportunity to observe piece, in my opinion, it's not there anymore. And that's the reason we're struggling, right? And it's all about get it up, get it quick. Let's make it hot, and let's go on to the next one.
Move on.
Yeah. Yep. And so we're losing the core of what this industry was built off of. And that was time, that was mentorship, that was leadership, and that was just getting out here and giving an honest day's work. Yeah. Right. And I know we're cutting short, but one other thing after that I talked about, I think Brent, he liked it too, is my law of appreciation, right, Brent? And so I talked about the law of appreciation, and it's also in the book. Yeah. And so the law of appreciation kind of sums it up. It says, on the industry side, all right, the shovel will make you appreciate the line truck.
Yep. Excellent.
The climbing tools will make you appreciate the bucket truck.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Right. The shovel will also make you appreciate the trencher.
Okay? Yep. Absolutely.
Right. Right. The bracing bit will make you appreciate the Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The hand line should make you appreciate the jib.
Yes. Yeah.
The old 4-door crew cabin or AC should make you appreciate the new bucket truck with AC, Bluetooth, and all these other things.
Yeah.
Right?
Automatic transmission. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Postal digger should also too make you appreciate the line truck. Right.
Absolutely.
It's appreciated with everything, but then on a personal side, right? Not having any hot water growing up should make you appreciate the hot water heater. Not having a box window, having a box fan in the window should make you appreciate the AC.
Sure should.
Walking to work should make you appreciate the car.
Yeah.
All right. Living on the street should make you appreciate the house.
Excellent. Yeah.
It's the law of appreciation.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Well, so let me just real quick, and I'll wrap my part up, is, you bring up this law of appreciation. And, I've been married for 37 years. And the one thing I realized, I didn't realize it till about 10 years ago, that my wife is my best friend. I never realized that. I thought she was just my wife. And it took me all this time. I mean, what an idiot. It took me all this time to realize that she's my best friend. And we need to get to that point when we're working on the line team, that all these people around us, they're our best friend. They're looking out. They're looking out for us, and we'll be looking out for them.
Yeah.
And it's just important that we treat this relationship. It's important that we treat it like a marriage, not in a physical sense, of course, but the mental sense. And we really need to tap into that intentionalness of coming together, working together, and being kind. Because if we're not kind, if we're not respectful, then we're not fit for duty, honestly, and things happen.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll continue to happen, right? And so, so Brent, like spot on, man. It's just like, when you don't value the relationship, right, nothing good can come about, right? And we're just going on a personal, if you man and woman or whoever, right, if you don't value that relationship is going to dissolve.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to start valuing relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have to start having that appreciation of where we come from. And so one of the things that we have to really stress now, and that's what's so important about the mentorship and telling the story, is if we don't tell the younger generation the history, how can they ever appreciate it?
That's right. That's right.
Amen.
Yeah. We have to be more than just telling nasty jokes and drinking, or whatever your thing is. You have to be able to share the story so guys can appreciate where this industry has come from and know that everything that you have, we have worked for it. Right? I take pride in knowing that everything that I've accomplished, I have busted my butt to get it. All right.
Yeah.
Take this and put it in your pocket and don't look for any handouts. Get out here and work for it and take pride, right? I can remember it till my day. Diamond washers are bad. I can remember, we don't want any diamonds. We want them, just taking that pride of line work, because I know for me on a personal level, it literally took me from eating Viennas and ramen noodles every night to steak and shrimps.
Okay.
It took me from buying clothes out of the dollar store to buying them at Mac Ray's and J.C. Penney's. That's what the industry has done for me.
Excellent. Well, we've got about, I think, 3 minutes to wrap up here. So I just want to say, Curtis, how much I've enjoyed this. I've really been looking forward to this and meeting you and hearing what you have to say. And I'm really excited to get to know you better and to possibly do some work together down the road. Who knows,
Yeah.
But man, it's been a pleasure. It really has.
Well, Well, look, I wasn't trying to cut you off, but yes, I appreciate this opportunity, giving me a platform to be able to share about myself and talk about this industry and how much it's done for me. Talk about safety, talk about training, talk about leadership. I think the 3 pillars of what this industry is built upon, and it's going to get better. Platforms like what you have, sir, and others, we're going to continue to shine a light on this thing, continue to get people bought in, especially this younger generation, and be that conduit, right? What's needed to have safe workers out here so we can reduce as many of these fatalities as possible. We're losing too many brothers, right? We're losing too many brothers and sisters each and every year. So we gotta put a stop to it.